All right, guys, it's that time. It is Monday Soul Deliciousness. I'm going to give you a second to get your notification and hop on. In the meantime, if you're here, I love to know where you're from. So give me a shout out. Where are you watching from? Tell me what your weather's like. So we actually have sunshine today. I'm sure it's still super cold, but just man, when that sun comes out, it's the most empowering thing. I just love it. So, we're going to talk about recognizing your ups and downs. And this actually is coming from my own self reflection yesterday. So, I want to share it with you because it is an amazing way to understand why you potentially are going through some ups and downs and how you can kind of battle through those so that you don't get stuck in a rut because that's a really, really easy place to get into. All right. So, hi guys. Tell me where you're from. Let me go to my chat. Hello. Hi, Lisa. I hope you're having a beautiful day. It was so nice outside with the sun that I actually opened my window for a little bit for some fresh air, and it was amazing. Hello, Kara. Welcome. All right. Let's hop into this. Hi, Jan. Okay. Hello, West Virginia. Welcome. All right, we're talking about ups and downs. So, this was something that was happening to me yesterday. I just went from feeling like $1 million to suddenly being like, eh. And then I just realized as I was resonating with it, it just got like ickier and ickier. And I don't like to go to that space. I really don't. And so, that's probably why like I've in some way mastered keeping myself out of that space is because I really dislike it. Hi, Amber. And I don't want to hang out there, but it happens. So I'm going to tell you about a specific center that you have as far as your energy goes in your body. So we'll get to that in just a second. But first of all, if you are new here, I will just introduce myself. My name is Amy Jorgensen. I live in the beautiful, frigid state of Utah. I have a master's degree in education and I absolutely love teaching. So I founded the Soul Centered Academy where I teach people all about how their energy systems work and how to incorporate some cognitive things like NLP into getting yourself back to a space where you're just like, you know who you are without any apology. And you just live this unapologetic life, loving yourself. And I also teach human design. And we're going to talk about one of the centers that is in human design. And it'll make sense to you once we look at it about why you are a certain way. So, the whole philosophy and the whole theory behind human design is that instead of trying to do it like everybody else, you create a strategy that's based off of exactly how your personality is. Because not everybody can go out and just do it, or not everybody can just hop out of their comfort zone and get things done. And so we just fight all this resistance because we get into this channel of what we think we should be doing and how our parents have taught us or how society thinks that, what success, I mean, what is success really? It's dependent on you and what resonates with you, but for many of us, success is attached to my career, having successful, marriage, having what I would consider to be, a good relationship with my kids, all of that stuff. And so we look at the human design so that we can better understand ourselves so that we align with actually how we really tick per se, instead of trying to do it like everybody else. So if you've ever jumped into like a coaching course or a diet or anything like that, and it just didn't really go the way that you wanted it to, this may help get some clarity for you. So, different people feel different ways when they're alone. Different people feel different ways when they're around other people. Now, I was always taught that I was a hermit and that something was wrong with me because I do not like to be around people that I don't know. Even just last night, like I took my kiddo to his granny's for a sleepover, and my mom had some people visiting that are in her neighborhood. I was in the kitchen, they were in the living room. I have zero desire to go into the living room and say hello and do idle chit chat. That is so far from my personality design. However, previous to understanding this about myself, that is just not how I'm wired, I would have felt guilt. And so I would have forced myself to go in there and done like, hello, I'm Amy, blah, blah, blah. And I don't do that. Like, if you want to talk about something really in depth, like quantum energy or something cool, airplanes, diesel engines, then I'll sit and talk with you. But I don't do well with the like, how are you? How are your kids? Blah, blah, blah. Like it's just not, I can't engage with it. And so I dropped my kiddo off and I was in the kitchen. My mom said, oh, you should go say hello to the neighbors. And I was like, yeah, I will not say hello to your neighbors because that would be not aligned with who I am. And I have no desire to say hello to your neighbors. So notice something here. Some of you are like, that's rude. It isn't rude. It isn't rude at all. It's respecting myself because I'm not that type of a person. There's nothing wrong with me having a boundary. I wasn't rude at all. I don't have to take my time to go say hello to my mom's neighbors that are in the living room who I don't know at all. But condition tells us that I'm being rude. So that's part of the reason why it can be difficult to follow your design is because you have to get rid of all these underlying conditioning things. Now, my mom's really good about it. And I guarantee you that when I left her house, she probably told them, that's just Amy. She's not very social. Touche, that's fine. Like totally own it. I'm really not, unless I am in a space with people that I already know. That is just, I'm a manifesting generator and I observe before I engage with people. But before I would have felt guilt for doing that. So we're going to talk about this really cool space in your body that is called your polarity center. Now, for those of you that are into energy work, you are well aware of what chakras are. For those of you that are not, you've probably still heard of chakras before because they're big in yoga, meditation. Like your chakras, the easiest way to think about your chakras, they're simply like your organs, but they're your energy system. So they produce and resonate energy through your body using meridians like blood flows through your veins. Okay. So previous to when human beings evolved into a higher level energy source, which happened um, quite some time ago in the 1700s, we used to be seven-centered beings, and then we evolved to nine-centered energy beings. Just like people, when people are like, what do you mean? Just think about it as like waiting for Lisa, podcast isn't in alignment with what I'm doing right now, actually, if you want to know. So I'm not doing a podcast right at this minute. So human beings evolved from, like, you watch them. We evolved, but we didn't just evolve physically with what you can see. We evolved cognitively. We evolved spiritually. We evolved in all types of ways. And so the energy centers have also evolved. So we're talking about this polarity center. Now, it's also called a couple of other things. I've seen it called the self-centered, the center, the self-center. I know. I'm like, I love you too. That was like, after I said that, I was like, was that a little snappy? And then I was like, no, that's you. Just roll with it, friend. No, I really do want to do a podcast. I just have chaos going on in my life right now, which I like, right? You like that? Smile with chaos. This is the smile of chaos. And so I miss my sock. I have my socks every day still, 200 pairs. I know, but I miss Sockatune. That was so super fun. I used to do this thing in the mornings where I would go live every day for 15 minutes and always show the socks I was wearing. And I literally have enough pairs to go on for over a year. I still collect socks. I have Sally socks on today. So, okay. Shiny ball, dogs running away. Come back, Amy. Okay. So There's this space called the polarity center. I was going to crack a joke too, because in some places it's called the G center, and that just doesn't resonate with me as the word that I would like to use for this. So I personally call it the polarity center. Now, you have this really cool thing in your body called a magnetic monopole, and basically it's like a GPS for you. It will attract things to you if you allow it. And so this is where this is located, is in this energy place of your polarity center. And it attracts things for you. And if you follow your design, and oh, by the way, if you're like, well, how do I know what my design is? Yo, I'll just put you this link here just if you would like to ever. You can book with me, and you can book what do I have it exactly called in here? You're looking for the human design reading. So it includes a full reading with details, a PDF file, and then I also do a 60-minute call with you. But it's life-changing, I'm telling you. It's absolutely crazy life-changing. So this polarity center in our bodies, our centers, they're either open or deactive, or they're closed and active. So if the center for you happens to be closed or active, we call it closed because in your chart, it'll actually be colored in instead of white. It means that you are incredibly sure of who you are and where you are going. Your purpose is super clear without a doubt. You're not just trying to live your life. You're trying to live your bestest life. Funny that you should say that. I will get you the link. Here you go. The easiest way to find the journals that I have published is right here. So I just posted the link for you. You can see all of them. I actually have some more designs coming. I have some cute ones for summer. But you can see the ones. So they're all on Amazon. So you can also search for my full name. I'll just type it in for you. If you search on Amazon my full name, it will also pull them up for you. But my website just has a link to all of them. Okay. There you go. Perfect. So you really know who you are. If your center is open or deactive, you are basically you don't have a defined identity. So is what I mean by that is you can feel really different at different times of the day, and you're not really sure exactly who you are. And I don't mean that like on a huge scale of you're like, I have no idea who I am. I'm just saying like 1 minute you're feeling a lot different than the next minute. Okay. Now I'm going to explain to you why, because here's one of the cool things about this. When you understand your human design, you stop beating yourself up. So if you don't know any better, you're like, man, I'm really up and down. I'm on a roller coaster with my emotions. You start thinking, am I bipolar? Like, what's going on here? When in reality, no, it's just the way you're designed. So let me explain to you why, if you have that center open, you can feel really up and down. It's because you are able to absorb the energy from another person who has that center defined. So it um is not pre-recorded. Okay, so here's why. I'm streaming to like 5 different places. So that's why you can't see everybody, is because you're on one of my Facebook pages that probably is not on the page where the people are talking. Does that make sense? So I'm streaming to like my YouTube channel. I'm streaming to 3 different Facebook pages. So depending on where you're watching me from, you're not going to be able to see everybody else. Makes sense? Okay. I also can't see the names of everybody. I can only see the names of some of you depending on which Facebook page you're on. So that's why. Okay. But I am, yes, very much live right now. Okay. So you're absorbing the energy from another person. So let's say that you are around a person who is not super happy. They tend to be negative. They have something horrible going on. If that part of you is not active and you have that part of you, your polarity center is open, then just like you would imagine. Basically, you can think of like your design overlaps with another person's, and anywhere you have open spaces, you absorb the energy of that person. So when people are like, oh, I walk into a room and I'm just overwhelmed because I can feel everyone. No joke. You really are feeling people. You can feel their auras. Our auras talk to each other. Outside of, I'm going to tell you one thing. If you want to really change your life, if you're sitting there like, what the heck is this lady talking about? Get past the fact that you are just simply a physical being, because you're much more than that. And when you grasp that concept, your life will absolutely change. It will blow your freaking little mind. Okay? So our auras are talking. So our energies overlap. And then anywhere in my design that is open, I'm going to be able to absorb the energy of whatever you have that is close. Now, here's the cool thing. If we put everybody together and we worked as a cognitive higher whole, we would be at peace because there would be no resistance. We would all be functioning and flowing exactly how we were designed to be, and people would not be doing the evil things that they do to each other. So it behooves you to learn about yourself. Okay. So yeah, you can feel completely different because let's say in a scenario, let's say that I was with my friend and my friend and I happen to be a great energy match. And so I'm feeling on top of my game. I'm like, yeah, yeah, because my just so you know, with my design, which I think if anybody that really knows me would 100% be like, ooh, there's no way. Amy's polarity center has to be active, because I do consider myself to be like, no, I know where I'm going in life and I know exactly what I want and I'm going to get it done. My polarity center is open. So this also proves or shows a point too, because sometimes when we look at our design, we're like, oh, well, one must be superior than the other, right? If I tell you that um, a active polarity center means that you're incredibly just boom, super confident in yourself and you know exactly where you're going, then you're going to be like, well, wow, if I'm the opposite of that, then I have no idea who I am or where I'm going. But here's the caveat to it. When you have an open center, it's not static. So a person who has a active or closed center, their energy is it. That is them. That is them. Period. Dot. If it's open, you are flexible because you can absorb the energy of another person. In fact, when you're around somebody, they can actually see themselves in you because you're somewhat reflecting their energy back to them. So if you're around someone that is not honest and not following life with integrity, and that is something that you have as part of your design, you will cause a reaction in them like nobody's business and they will hate you. So I used to be really concerned because I'm like, man, why does so and so dislike me so much when I haven't done anything to them? And when I learned about my human design, I realized, well, dang, my aura is basically shocking yours because you're a pile. No, I didn't say that. I'm like the coolest energy healer ever because I'm all live, light, and love, but I'll also tear your house down. Okay. So, but really, you create an issue with their aura because you are calling them out. You are reflecting their ickiness back on them and they do not like the way it feels, so they will avoid you at all costs. And they won't try to get in a confrontation with you. They don't want to talk about it. They just go away. You're like an electric fence for them. Okay, so now that you kind of understand that, I want to tell you, like, what do you do to follow a strategy to make this work for yourself? So if that sounds like you and you're like, I feel like I could be one of these people who has this as an open center and I absorb things from other people. So what's my strategy here? Strategy is aligning yourself with people that are freaking empowering. I can't even stress that enough, because you are who you, and you've probably heard this before, you become who you are around. So if you want to be successful, you want to be uplifting for others, you want to be healthy, then you surround yourself with people that are at that vibrational level and you will absorb their energy and then you will reflect it out. And in fact, when you absorb someone else's energy, you actually amplify it. So that's why it's super important not to be around people that are because not only will you absorb it, but you'll actually magnify it or amplify it and make it even worse. And so you can get yourself into some really big problems. So think about if you have this is a open center and you're in a relationship with a narcissistic person, like that's a lot for you. Not only are you reflecting back to the narcissist, which is going to make them angry, you're absorbing the energy from the narcissistic person, and then you're just vibrating at the same level that they are, and you get stuck in it and you can't get out. So another thing you can do is reading or watching things like if there's a specific person you like to watch that's very motivated, uplifting, doing that is actually a way to bring in positive energy into your center, because you're basically taking in, like when an author writes a book, that's energy. And if it's a positive, amazing book, every time you read it, you're taking some of that energy out of that book and it's resonating with you and you're filling up your own fuel tank. You can also do some cool things like I'm going to show you a clearing exercise that is something that I like to do that really helps me. And it's all about connecting with your imagination. And that's really hard for some of you because you're like, connecting with my imagination means that I'm a little kid and I'm childish and I just need to grow up. That's a toxic phrase that someone has told you. Super wrong. If you got to the space where you are in life now as the child that you were when you were 4 years old, you would be unstoppable, because that child knows exactly who they are and they know exactly how to live their strategy. It's just that adults take that away from us. So when I tell you to use your imagination, let yourself resonate with it, because that is how it works. That is how you manipulate energy. It's using your imagination. So no, people that do that kind of stuff are not hocusy pocusy crazy. It literally is how you make freaking things happen. So I'm just going to tell you that I know because I do it every day. Yo, believe it. So, okay, one of the things you can do, take a really deep breath in through your nose, because this is doing multiple things for you. This is the way that you align your physical body with your energy source. It's one of the simplest things that you can do, but we don't do it ever because we're running around 100 miles an hour. Do you know what you do all day? Notice it sometimes. You're probably running around 100 miles an hour and you've got all this tension. You're clenching your jaw. I like to stick my tongue onto the back of my teeth on the roof of my mouth when I get stressed. And then I also curl my toes. Potentially you do some of those things as well. And what you sit like that for an hour, you are wearing the ever living out of your physical body. So you can start to clear that away. Even put like a little post-it note wherever you're working, what are you doing? Be like, relax. So that every time you look at it, do it with intention. Be like, wow, what am I doing with my jaw right now? Am I clenching it? So what do you think happens when you hold all that tension and then you go to bed? It becomes a habit. And so then you're sleeping like that. And then you wake up and you're like, dang, I feel like I've been run over by a car. So where's your tongue? Think about where's your feet? Are your toes squashed up? You take that deep breath in through your nose and literally let it just fill yourself full of this beautiful oxygen that makes your brain work. And you're also aligning your energy. So when I say aligning, if you want to visualize it, I do this a lot because I visualize that I'm pulling in outside energy to myself. Anything you can visualize helps your brain to connect. Now, you're also connecting your vagus nerve, you're connecting your governing vessel meridian. And then once you get all that beautiful energy and you can feel it, you're going to take another deep breath. And then I want you to melt into your shoulders, roll your shoulders like you're in a C curve, like you're doing Pilates, and then just send it out through your toes. And if you hum, usually you're in frequency with something that you need. So let it come out. You don't be like, oh, well, that's silly. No, be silly. Just let it come. You'll actually hum the tune that you need. So you just imagine that you're sending this all out through your feet. So I know there are some of you that are like, I don't know what this is, whatever. So I'm going to tell you before I go, I'm going to give you a real world example of how this works. So this is something that I was taught when I was a pilot. but not at the level that I'm teaching you now. It wasn't quite so like harmoniously get in tune with yourself. This was called chair flying. So as a pilot, we would only be able to fly so much. It's super expensive, right? It takes lots of time. So when I was in pilot training for the Air Force, when all of my we weren't even allowed to leave the classroom. So you're on lockdown. You basically go every single day. You're in this room for 8 hours. You're not allowed to leave unless you're going on a flight. And so in the meantime, while everybody is flying and it's not your turn, you're supposed to be studying. You're supposed to be like becoming the ultimate source of information for your aircraft. And I mean, they make sure you do. We did things in the morning called stand up, where you sat around in a circle and the instructor would give you a scenario and he'd say, okay, you're flying. This is the altitude you're at. Hey, Clover, Clove. My dog, she thinks, Clover. So they'd be like, this is the altitude you're at. You have a alarm going off. What are you going to do? And then the instructor would pick one of you and you'd have to stand up and you'd stand at attention and you'd have to say exactly what you were doing, but you'd have to say it in a certain way. It was very stressful. But the reason for that is they wanted you to be under stress so that when stuff like this really happens in the plane, they're setting a scenario, right? They're having you stand up in front of your peers. They're asking you stuff. You're scared. You don't know what you're doing. You just want to get the answers right. And so they're setting the tone. They want you to be stressed out so that if it happens in real life, your brain doesn't shut down because you're overwhelmed. So the military is really good at manipulating your mind and doing the type of stuff that I now teach, just at a different level. But we would sit in front of these giant posters on the wall that are the inside of the aircraft, and you would just go through your little checklist and you'd talk to yourself and you'd be like, generators on, and then your co-pilot says on or whatever. And so you just go through it and then you literally fly from a chair as detailed as possible. You would say things like Tiger 36 is turning right base, wheels down. And you would say it exactly like that. You would make all the radio calls. You would imagine a radio call coming back to you. Now it sounds crazy, right? Because I just told you to use your imagination and you're like, huh, that's childish. But yet in this scenario, everybody's like, cool. I mean, we're all dudes and we're awesome in our, uniforms, but yet we're sitting in a chair talking to ourselves because the military understands that when you go through those scenarios and you do it in that kind of detail, you are flying that aircraft. And so if you really wanted to be a good pilot, you chair flew every single one of your flights before you went on it, because then your mind would replicate it. You've already done it and it would make it happen. And this is how I used to do my landings. I would always chew gum, because that's getting into a strategy of consistency. I would always chew gum. And then I would always visualize my landing before I did it. So as I was coming down, I would, manipulate my controls, fly that beautiful beast. Like, so you can see, like, I'm going back into my aircraft, like the harmony of my 4 engines humming together. And I would visualize myself coming down to the runway, even to the point where I knew exactly, we called it kissing the runway. You want the airplane to kiss the runway. Heaven forbid that you bang it in and set the hard landing light off, because then the entire crew will make fun of you. And maintenance has to go through the whole jet. So it's really important. So I would visualize exactly, like I would visualize what distance down that runway do I want to set my aircraft down. Like I'm visualizing, I know the speed, I know the sound. I know the sound that my airplane makes when I'm at the right speed. And that's how we did it. And so I'm telling you, like, allow yourself to connect to this beautiful space. Okay, super duper sauce. That's what I'm going to leave you with today. I did do some posts for some of my links. So if you're interested in getting a human design reading, I go into detail telling you about yourself. So I will show you in your human design, like a place like this, if it's active or not active, and tell you like, hey, this is the strategy. This is what you need to do so that you're aware. Instead of changing yourself, you align with who you are. So you're aware that this is the strategy. These are the actions you need to take, because guess what? We're taught that everybody should just get out of their comfort zone and get it done. We're not all designed the same. So you can keep trying that. You're going to keep failing at it. You're going to get frustrated, and life is going to be full of resistance, or you can learn about yourself and have everything flow beautifully for you. All right, guys, have a beautiful rest of your night and see you later, Gators. I can't believe tomorrow is March 1st. Bye.